Hello everyone. Welcome to this video by Intellipaat. In this video, we will be talking about the living costs in Germany. We will try to take into consideration all the living standards of students and break down the expenses accordingly. The good news is that, considering the country's living standards, German citizens can enjoy a comparatively inexpensive cost of living. With that said, let's take a look at our agenda. Firstly, we will discuss the life in Germany. After that, we will see what are the various expense categories for students, and then we will see how to cover those expenses. With that, let's move on to our first agenda. Firstly, we have the living costs in Germany. So, in general, Germany is not considered to be expensive, particularly when compared to the average cost of living in Europe. And your budget will be completely determined by which city you are in and your lifestyle requirements. Anyone seeking a self contained apartment in Munich's city center will find that their budget is quickly depleted compared to someone looking for a flat share in Berlin, for example. Now, let's try to break down the cost of living for foreign students in Germany. So, what are the various expense categories for students? So, the cost of living consists of five major categories that are education, healthcare, rent, food and groceries, and travel. We will discuss each of these categories one by one. Firstly, we have education. First of all, education in Germany is inexpensive as compared to the rest of the world. So, say a student migrates from a foreign land to study in Germany, he does not need to worry about the study costs as some public universities in Germany offer free education. He just needs to pay a registration fee of 250 to 350 euros every semester. Next up, we have healthcare. So, healthcare is compulsory for everybody in Germany. The average cost for students that are enrolled in the public health insurance system goes up to about 110 euros, while for working professionals, it can cost even higher. But the good thing is that it might partially be covered by your employer. Moving forward, we have rent. So, the rent you pay totally depends on the city you choose to live in and the living standards you have. There are plenty of accommodation options available, like student dorms, that might charge somewhere between 400 to 450 euros. One should opt for this option to cut costs. The other option is to rent out an apartment. While this may sound fascinating, it will definitely drain your pockets. Renting your own place can cost up to 900 euros or even more. For working professionals, this might not be an issue as they earn a minimum of 2,500 euros per month. Moving forward, we have food and groceries. Food and groceries can cost somewhere between 100 and 150 euros. There are many grocery store chains in Germany like Lidl, Aldi, etc. But there are always the farmers' markets for even cheaper options for groceries and other essentials. Moving forward, we have travel. For traveling, there is always the pocket friendly option of public transport, and it can cost up to 90 euros monthly. There is a concept of semester contribution in Germany where a university includes a ticket for unlimited usage of the public transport and it lasts throughout your semester. Now let's try to add it all up and see how much does it cost in a month to live in Germany. Well, we can see here it's around 1100 euros per month to live in Germany. Well, 1100 euros in Indian rupees would be equal to 92,215 rupees. And that is a huge amount to be spent by a student. So let's talk about a way to finance your living expenses in Germany. So when talking about covering these expenses, we can actually divide this into two basic categories. We have the working student mini job or the midi job, and on the other hand, we have freelancing or internship. So now let's try to understand each of these terms in detail. So when you work in an organization that is related to your studies, you are to be called a working student. It has various benefits like you get to practice what all you study in real time and at the same time it adds to your CV. Now let's talk about mini job. When doing a mini job, the minimum wage is 450 euros per month and the maximum working hours allowed is 11 hours per week or 47 hours for the entire month. The most interesting of all these is the midi job. Well, midi job is so much more than a mini job, but At the same time, it is not a full time job. How many jobs stands out is that health and employment insurance are required, with the employer contributing a higher percentage than in a full time position. The pay varies from 450 to 1300 euros per month. With all the types of jobs mentioned above, you are entitled to be paid leaves and everything that a part time employee is entitled to. Now, let's move on to the second category, that is freelancing or internship. Freelancing or self employment can be independent and freeing, but doing the same in Germany comes with certain laws. For example, you can work for yourself in jobs like promotion, copywriting, tutoring, and web design, but you will have to check with your local tax office to discover if you require a trade license. Now, for internships, there are again two categories, one being compulsory and the other being voluntary internship. The compulsory internship is a part of your university program, and your employer is not required to pay you anything in such a case. So you either earn nothing or very little. The voluntary internship is also not paid if it lasts less than 3 months. Only after 3 months, anybody having a voluntary internship is eligible for minimum wage. Now, here are a few things that one should have knowledge of before taking up a job while being a full time student. There is the minimum wage. The minimum wage for a part time job in Germany is about 10 to 15 euros per hour. Next up, there are laws regarding working part time when you are an international student. And the current law allows working for a maximum of 120 full days or 240 half days a year for a part time working student. No student is allowed to work more than 20 hours per week. When earning your own money, you have to also think about taxation. Any part time student who earns more than 450 euros a month needs to pay taxes. Now, who has the right to be paid minimum wage? There are laws constituting who has the right to be paid a minimum wage and who does not. For example, any act of freelancing can be paid how much ever is discussed between the employer and the employee and has nothing to do with the minimum wage. Well, the same goes for anybody who is self employed. So, the overall cost of living in Germany comes to somewhere between 1000 and 1200 euros a month. The main factor contributing to this is the city and the type of accommodation you choose. Rent is higher in cities like Munich, Frankfurt, but comparatively cheaper in Berlin and Leipzig. Even though the cities with lower rent might be far from a university, there is always free public transport and hence you will save a fortune. Rest all essentials always have a cheaper option to go for, along with working part time to manage your expenses better. All in all, to say that with good financial management and by making the right expenditure choices, one can have a very comfortable and profitable life in Germany. And that's it for this video. Thank you.
Just a quick info, guys. If you wish to learn MBA from Germany, Intellipaat has curated a special blended program in collaboration with IU Germany. This program will be mentored by IU professors and Intellipaat experts. This course will help you upskill and land your dream job in any part of the world.
Now that we are done with the session, don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon to get the latest updates on Intellipaat.